This is Creative Love Radio, episode number 35. Will loving your body help you find love? Now, spring is coming, the layers are coming off, and are you really loving your body? Are you feeling confident in your body when you're out there dating? We're going to answer those questions and more in this episode. Welcome to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. We are redefining relationships to guide you to greater love, more success, and living your purpose through the latest research in neuroscience, Jungian psychology, and Eastern wisdom. Get ready for another inspirational episode of Creative Love Radio. All right, Rob, loving your body. Will that help you find love?
I think so. It might help.
It might.
Couldn't hurt.
It couldn't hurt, right? Well, today we're going to talk about how we look at our body, how we love our body through the lens of health, through the lens of beauty, and also the mindset around loving your body, and how that influences how we are attracted to people and who we're attracted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how good we feel and how confident we feel on a date or even to go out dating. But before we start, we have something really exciting to announce. We've been working on this behind the scenes, but we are going to have an amazing retreat this summer called the Mind Body Psychology Training Retreat. And it's in Santa Fe, New Mexico in August. It's 3 full days with us. Very intimate retreat where we're going to help you understand the philosophy and techniques that will help you work with the mind-body.
Yeah. If you think about the mind-body research that's been produced recently, it covers a lot of ground, and a lot of people haven't been able to put it to work yet. So the ideas and the information is out there, but how do you apply that? So what we're going to do is give you tools that apply that information, that research, this new knowledge about the mind-body, and put it to work. Well,
what is the mind-body?
Yeah, what is the mind-body? It's the integration of the mind and the body, meaning there's really no separation. That separation that the West did in medicine is artificial. Mm-hmm. We know, even basic medical statistics, people that show up in the emergency room, a lot of times there's a heavy psychosomatic component to it, meaning it's the mind that's causing the apparent symptoms, the physical symptoms of whatever they're going through. And even if it's not directly the mind plays a big role in how they experience it, what kind of outcomes they're going to have with that problem, with that physical problem. So the mind-body integration really starts to see the human being as one unit. The mind is not separate from the body. Where
traditional medicine works on the symptoms. Yeah. And that's what we're going to talk about today as well, is what the symptoms of our body and our health are not really the cause. And also, too, like a lot of people don't know, but I started out my career as basically a medical hypnotherapist. I was working with women in childbirth and pain management, post-surgery, helping people quit smoking, lose weight.
Heavy-duty stuff.
Thousands of people I've helped lose weight, and all of the years, every time they would come for weight, it would always be not about calories or working out. It was more about relationships. And so this little tool that I kind of keep to myself, I have kept to myself for so long, and I want to share. And Rob and I came up with this retreat that we can train you in how to use how to write really great visualizations and imagery that are going to help you lose weight, have a healthier body, help others if you're in the health field. So it's really, the retreat is for people that if you are a coach or a health coach and you want to learn really powerful techniques that work with the unconscious mind and mindfulness techniques in a very intensive, accelerated manner, Or if you are someone who has health challenges and you feel like you want to learn how to incorporate the mind-body techniques into your whole system and treatment plan so that you can feel healthier and have a healthier body.
Absolutely. So we'll also be covering the yoga philosophy and how they see the mind-body. It's super interesting. So really, it's a certificate in mind-body coaching. And if you're interested, all you need to do is you can come to our Creative Love group on Facebook and join us there and say you're interested. We can put the link there to find out. Or you can go to Debbie and Dr. Rob, our website, and under the events page, and it's listed there as the event in August. You can read all about it. You can apply. And if you're interested, you get a free consultation with me, and I could explain a little more about it. And hopefully we'll see you there. We're going to have a great group of people changing their mind and changing their bodies. Hope to see you there.
So speaking of changing our minds about our body, let's talk about loving your body.
Yeah. When we talk about loving our body, we talk about body image. And there's two main components that we have to address when we talk about body image. One of them is health. And that includes the numbers of weight and age and size and cholesterol and all those numbers that we all want to keep track of because it tells us something about our health. Yeah, it's kind of a measurement tool. Yeah.
But the problem with those numbers is, so you think about those numbers, you think about how old am I, what number is on that scale, what size am I, what my lab results tell me. All those ideas about numbers, we give a story around it, and we basically give ourselves value based on those numbers.
Absolutely.
So our personal value is tied into, well, if I'm a certain size, then I'm more attractive. Right. Or if I'm a certain age, I'm more attractive. So when we think of health, not only just in measuring our cholesterol, but we also measure our health in what we weigh and what we look like. And it's related to our value and how confident we feel going out there and meeting people.
Yeah, and the other part is this idea of beauty that is hard to define, but we all know what it is, and we all know what it's about. It's about how comfortable we feel in our skin and with our own body, and how we think others are perceiving us, and how much we love our body and take care of it, and what relationship we have with this thing called our body. And then the third element that we want to talk about is the mindset. How does the mind play into these things that we call health and beauty, and does it really help us in expressing and finding the right kind of relationship?
Mm-hmm. So when let's go back to health then. Everyone has a different idea of health. I mean, you hear about those people that live in for 100 and they say, I drank whiskey every day and smoked 3 packs a day. I mean, but if they're in an environment that is, they're not less stressed, that would be fine. And then you could eat carrots every day and drink tons of water. But if you're highly stressed, you could probably be more unhealthy than someone who eats differently.
Yeah, well, health is definitely more than the absence of illness or disease. And a lot of people think that's all there is. Like, if I don't have a disease and I don't have an illness of some kind, I'm healthy. Mm-hmm. That's a kind of a very low bar for health, right? Because if you think about all the possibilities of your body and how the optimal health potential of the body, right? Where you feel great and you have the energy and your body is like firing on all cylinders. That's a very different feeling than just, okay, I'm not feeling any pain and I don't have any disease right now.
It's interesting when I moved to Colorado and I did all the alternative natural stuff that they had out there. I went to a woman, I got my blood work done because I was feeling really fatigued. And I had gone to a doctor, a medical doctor, internal medicine doctor, and he said, you're perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with you. Mm-hmm. The numbers are all fine. And I was like, but why am I so tired all the time? And she looked at the blood results and she said, wait a minute. In the traditional medicine, they're really looking for acute symptoms. They're not looking for optimal. So if you're like within a normal realm and if it's a bell curve of everyone, you're really, you can't, most people are pretty normal, but is normal in their eyes optimal. And so when she said, I just took some licorice supplements and some other things, and they started to change how I felt and cut out some things out of my diet. And then all of a sudden I had all the energy back. My blood work had changed, but it wasn't in that smaller realm and that small way of measuring like the norm. And if you think about the spectrum of people, there's people that are super, super sick and people that are super, super healthy. And most people are in the middle. And I think there's just thinking about health is more than just the numbers and looking at and who interprets the numbers. Right. And just like with weight, you can be 120 pounds. And if you're 6 foot tall and you're 120 pounds, you are emaciated. But if you're, 4 feet tall, you might think 120 pounds is, or 4'5". I don't think anyone's 4 feet tall, but 4'5", maybe you're under 4'8" or 5 foot. That might be overweight for you. But so looking at that number in itself is just subjective. And age, people look at age. Sometimes a 30-year-old looks 20 years older if they're smoking, and their skin isn't as healthy.
You're only as young as your spine.
Yeah,
and how flexible you are, and how well you carry yourself.
But I think with health and age, I think with dating, a lot of people, every single person that we talk to, and I'm sure if you're listening and you spoke to us, you probably remember saying this, is I'm 30, but I look 20, or I'm 40, but I look 30. I'm 50, but I look 40. Everyone has this kind of, you have to say, I don't look like a normal 50-year-old, or I don't look like I'm 60,
here's what
but I look 50.
Psychology says about that.
Okay.
That there is a bias in all our minds, mm-hmm. that we tend to rate ourselves a little bit higher than others would rate us. So that's kind of a normal curve right there. We tend to, kind of fib on the positive side, which
I don't think is true. I think men do. I think those psychologists are men because I think most women,
psychology is freshmen in college.
Yeah, that's true. I think most men overrate themselves, and women tend to be more humble. That's what I believe. So I think that is I'm just challenging you on that.
Statistics, they're not reality. Yeah. They're just statistics.
But anyway, it comes back to that idea again of our age gives us some kind of value. Mm-hmm. Our weight gives us some kind of value. So it's summertime and you're getting ready to get some spring clothes. How many times, and especially the women, have gone into the store and they gained a little weight over the winter, or and then it's like almost like their whole life and their whole ability to love themselves is taken away because that number on that size gene doesn't fit anymore, or that the number on that scale isn't what you want it to be. So this whole symptom, the results that we're seeing is like a symptom.
Yeah,
and we think if we look younger or change the weight or change the size that we're wearing, that somehow we get more value.
Yeah. And definitely this may come as a shock to a lot of you, but dieting does not work.
No, really?
Despite what the latest infomercials say, that they've found the perfect diet and it's going to give you happiness and results like no other. It's a fad, basically, and it'll pass, and then a new one will take its place. Meanwhile, you'll spend a lot of time and effort and frustration in trying to manage weight from the external, mm-hmm. right? Kind of controlling the amount of calories or focusing on certain kinds of foods. Though you might get temporary results, but the research shows that most people will gain the weight back.
You know what I think? I think that dieting is like dating tips. Mm-hmm. It's like if you change your behavior, act a certain way, eat certain things, then you're going to get that result. And you may get a short-term result, just like if you hold back and pretend that you're cool and you're not really desperate for love, and you seem more confident, then you're going to fool the guy or the person into falling in love with you. And it's the same thing with dieting. It's that's why I think this topic is so, it parallels everything we teach with love, is that it's not the external change, making those superficial changes aren't really what's going to make you fall in love with yourself and fall in love with your life.
Yeah. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't think about what you eat, and you should be mindful.
And you shouldn't text someone 40 times a day. It's not that that's a bad idea.
And
a good idea.
And educate yourself about nutrition and what's good for you and what's good for the body and all that. But the dieting idea that it's a formula that you're going to follow for a changing in the pattern of your eating and your eating habits, it has to start from within. Mm-hmm. It cannot be that externally imposed regiment on your body, because your body will resist, first of all. It has a natural mechanism to defend itself against those kind of violent, drastic changes that you're trying to make. And it will resist, and in the long run, it will backfire. Mm-hmm. You will gain the weight back, and then you lose heart about the control that you have over your life.
And I also think too that people do have a distorted image of their bodies. They feel heavier than they are. They look at themselves, and how many times have we all looked in the mirror and said, "Oh my God, I'm so fat," and why, I need to lose weight, and we're shocked when someone tells us we look good, or we get triggered when people don't. And so I remember a lot of people tell me that they've done weight loss and they've changed their body, and they said, it's still me inside. Like, I still feel like I'm a thin person. I'm thin on the outside, but I have the mindset of I'm still that chubby girl that never got a guy to look at me. Or I'm still like, it didn't make me feel better. And so we know that just changing the body is not going to make you happy. And loving your body from the external and just saying affirmations is also not going, they're helpful, but it's still not the answer. Because we have the mindset that we have to think about.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, how do we acquire this idea of our own body image? There's definitely genetics involved. We inherit a lot of it from our genetics. Mm-hmm. And now there's epigenetics, meaning the stuff that our previous generations went through impacts us. Right? There's also culture. We know culture has a big shaping influence on our habits, on what we like, what we eat, what we consider a good-looking body, and what we consider normal and desirable. Mm-hmm. All that is culturally shaped. And culturally shaped means that you won't question it unless you step outside that culture, or your own culture.
There was I remember seeing online, there was some sort of outline of bodies, and they say for each different culture, what was the ideal body. And it was so amazing how different it was. Like, some cultures like round, curvy women, and some cultures like pencil thin women. Some people like tall women, some like short women. What is desirable, and men too, the body of the man.
Yeah.
But for women, I think it's more severe in the difference.
Absolutely.
Because they're kind of the ones that are idolized. And
well, there's a lot more pressure, I think, on women. Mm-hmm. And then if you think about the peer influence, and then the socialization that comes through magazines and the internet, and the images that are put out there as what is the ideal, desirable body to have. That's why people develop all these eating disorders and body dysmorphic disorders and on, because it's an impossible standard. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to, or they're measuring their self-worth based on that impossible standard.
Yes. And even now, like they have a lot of, there's a great advertisement for Dove campaign where they had a woman describe herself, And the guy actually he didn't see her, and he was an artist, and he basically was one of those sketch artists that, when the police come and they say, what's this witness look like, and draws the picture. And so she would describe herself in the image of how she saw herself, and he would draw the picture, and then he would see her and show another picture, and then she would look side by side to how he sees her and how she saw herself. And there's a commercial. I think it's a pretty long one on their site. It's just heartbreaking, because women are like, oh my God, I have such a distorted idea of, like, the chin is really pronounced, and you look at the woman and no, it's a beautiful chin. So we all have this. So where does that come from, Rob? How do we have this such a harsh idea of what we look like, from facial features to our body image, and how do we fall in love with ourselves and stop the madness of just dieting all the time and then feeling disappointed when we do get that number that we desire, but it's not really making us happy? It's just like you could find the guy, but if you don't change inside, you're going to repeat the same pattern.
Yeah, definitely. It all goes back to the mind. Because we're forming these images in our mind, and the only way we're going to change them is to change them first in our mind. Then the external will reflect that image. But just another health bit, especially related to the mind. We know that every cell in your body is listening to your thoughts. It's not that the mind and the body are separate. It's the contrary. The mind and the body are actually one. What you think about yourself and the thoughts you think on a daily basis about your body, nutrition, food, your health, etc., every cell in your body is paying attention. Mm-hmm. And it's not only hearing what you're thinking, it's taking those thoughts as an order.
So if you're telling yourself how old you are, can you imagine what that's doing to your body?
Yeah.
You tell yourself how fat you are,
yep,
how unattractive you are.
Yes.
And even your body language will be reflected in that unconsciously.
Exactly. When you measure and compare yourself to these impossible ideals, mm-hmm, you're putting yourself down unconsciously, doing it over and over every time you see these images. And your body, remember, is taking that as an order, meaning that you are less than XXX. Mm-hmm. And what that does to the body, we don't really know the full consequences of that. But we understand the principles enough to guess that that's going to cause a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. It's going to diminish your immune system. It's going to compromise your immune system. It's going to decrease your energy. And that's only at the physical level. It's going psychologically, it's going to devalue you, mm-hmm, your own self-worth, mm-hmm, and distort your body image. Mm-hmm.
And so you could change all the behavior on the surface, but if you're not changing your thought patterns. And here's the thing, it's not just the thought patterns are also an effect of something even deeper. And it's who you think you are, your identity. Do you identify as a small little ego that's trying to make it in the world? Or do you identify with the unlimited potential, the divine self, the pure self that is natural, like has beauty and elegance and youth and power? And so if you're identifying with the ego, it's never going to be enough. You're never going to have the weight that you love. There's always going to be someone thinner or younger or more beautiful in your mind. But when you come from the divine mind, it's almost like you're going from the foundation from which those thoughts are coming from a different place. And so a lot of times people say affirmations, which are great to start, but if you don't change the character you're acting from, you're just basically putting a nice covering over it, losing the weight temporarily or feeling good temporarily, but you're still not really on a core level believing, mm-hmm, that you are beautiful or that you are lovable.
Yeah, it is very much like a becoming aware of your conditioning, of how you've been thinking about and absorbing the images around you, what kind of messages you absorb from your parents, from the culture, from your genetics as well, and understanding all that, and then re-educating, rebuilding the mind from the inside out as to what is health, what is beauty, what is your body, and your relationship with this incredible thing we call our bodies. And
so it's like a reinvention.
Yeah, reinventing yourself, absolutely. If you think of yoga, that was precisely one of its goals, was to reinvent the body from the spiritual perspective, meaning a more holistic experience of it. Often, the way yoga is practiced now is it's divorced from its philosophy.
Yeah, they go and you do the workout.
Yeah,
it's like a workout.
Exactly, it's more seen as a gym, as a specialized gym
or stress relief.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's helpful. Obviously, it's helpful. But to really practice it, or let's say to really integrate some of the great philosophical concepts into our daily living, we have to understand it in that at that level. What is it talking about? How is it envisioning the body and health in this new way? And how can we incorporate it into what we know now about medicine and physiology from the new sciences that we have in neuroscience and medicine?
And if you change the core, like if you change your perspective from where you're coming from, who you align with, are you aligning inside with your higher self, as some people would call it, or your true self, that perfect aspect of you, the unlimited aspect of you, the pure love, that who you are. Everything else will flow outside in a different way. You will automatically work out because you love your body, or it's a temple that your body is. You'll automatically think the thoughts of someone who is honoring themselves. You'll automatically see other people, whether they're thin or heavy or old or young, as equal. You'll see people through the mind of the divine, and then you'll see yourself. And then also, too, in dating, here's the thing, and this, you may have experienced this, the people that trigger you, like a lot of people will say, I don't like this person because they're short. I don't like this person because they're overweight. I don't like this person because they're too old for me. Those are reflecting your mind. And until you stop judging those about yourself, you're going to get people that show up in your dating life that reflect the things you don't like about yourself. So imagine that you don't judge yourself for those things anymore, or measure yourself for those things. You could start to see people and their potential as well. See them through the true nature. And then it doesn't mean that you can't choose someone who is attractive or choose someone at a certain age, but it's a conscious choice. It's not a ego compulsion to satisfy your value in some way, or to think that if I have a young person, it'll make me feel younger. If I have an attractive person, that's going to make me feel more attractive. Or if I'm with a tall person, that makes me feel, a certain power. And so this is how this all ties into love, is that we see people and we get triggered by people based on how we rate ourselves. And you always say, by the yardstick we measure others, we measure ourselves. Wouldn't it be great to choose a partner and to choose even a fitness and health regime, like a new regime, regimen that is out of our choice versus a fear or anxiety of I need to measure up. That's really the key.
Yeah, the whole question of how it plays into pairing and mating and finding your match is interesting, because we know people start to mimic each other's health habits.
Yes.
Even physiologically, we tend to synchronize our heartbeats, our adrenaline levels.
Even our stress, like if you're around someone who's amped up all the time, we start to get amped up.
Yeah, our brain waves start to coordinate and to play off each other. And that, we know married couples, for example, or people that have been together for a while, they start to look similar because they're expressing the same kind of habits, eating and exercise and those kind of things. But how it plays out in dating, I don't think we know that much yet, but we know the principles are at play. And so I imagine what would happen is that your health habits and your body image would tend to correspond to the opposite if you're not conscious, meaning you're going to see the shadow elements of what you believe is beautiful and desirable projected outwardly out there. And then you might even attract those kind of people.
Yeah, I've noticed so many people. They'll be. I had a friend who was like really into yoga and health and nutrition, and her boyfriend was a pothead and drug addict. I was like, what are you doing?
Drinker,
yeah, like why are you're like unhealthy and so why do we do that? Or I see a lot too that people get triggered when someone who's unattractive tries to contacts them on a dating site, and they get almost like offended, like this person who's 20 years older, why would they think that they can, they feel like almost like it was an insult. So those triggers are reflecting what we worry about. And so again, what shows up that you're triggered with is showing where you're not fully loving who you are.
Yeah. And then as you become more conscious of these things, then the partners you attract would reflect that same pattern, meaning you would find a good match for yourself. So the key is to become conscious, aware of what is my body image, how was I conditioned to think about my health, my body in this way, and how can I transform it? How can I change it? How can I become more of what I want to become? Not from the external, not from out there, not trying to change the external forcibly, but to really grow it from within. And like you say, become that person that you want to become from within the mind.
So think about a real good exercise for you leaving today is just think about how you've been measuring yourself and how you've been measuring others, and where the kind of the report card you give yourself and the metrics that you use are really forming your value. And remember and find out whatever it is for you, is you believe it's your soul or your higher power or your deeper self or your true self, however you want to call it, find a way to connect with that part of yourself and start to think about what is really driving your desires. And again, you can eat healthy. You can work out if you want to. You can want to be a different size if you want to, but you want to make it from a very conscious place. You don't want to do it in a reactive place or think that when I get there, when I reach that finish line, I get that number on the scale, then I'll have more value, then I'll be more attractive. It has to start now, and then the outside will fall into place.
Yeah.
So great topic. I wish we could have another whole series on this, but if you're interested in learning more about this and coming to our retreat, it's going to be fantastic, especially if you're already a coach and you say, I really would love to use tools, because a lot of my clients deal with chronic, migraines and physical pain, or want to lose weight, want to be healthier, want to be less stressed, a lot of anxiety or panic that they have in their life, and how to ground themselves. This workshop is it's not a workshop, it's a training retreat where you're actually going to get a workbook of tools and scripts that you're going to be able to use and practice right away. So it's really, really positive. It's not therapy. It's going to be coaching based and really incredible training.
Absolutely.
So go to debbieandrob.com, click on events and find out more. And also join us at our Facebook group. Creative Love Coaching, Creative Love, what is it called? Creative Love Community. I am losing it today. Creative Love Community, and join the conversation there. Let us know other topics you'd like to hear, and we hope to see you soon.
See you soon. Much love.
Take care. You've been listening to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. For more information, visit us on our website at creativelove.com.